Welcome. It is another Wednesday night, and it is time for the Pundits Pundit. I am your moderator, Denzel Snipes. Just to the right of me is Jenn, the professional fan. All right, below me is the architect of this show, Jacob Christner, and to the right of him is the captain and crew of the Sports Exchange Enterprise, Mr. Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing great. Looking forward to our doubleheader tonight. Sideline South Florida Tribune. Don't get any better.
Absolutely.
Yes, a part of a loaded Wednesday night slate. You just tuned into Three Chicks, and now you're tuning into the Pundit. Well, actually, it was J&J Sports Express. And then now the Pundits Pundit. My bad. Sometimes I feel like 1,000 shows are going on.
So excuse. I love that you're so happy about my show. I love it.
Hey,
great
don't forget
show.
Chicks is talking. Yeah, yes, it's awesome. And by the way, shout out ESPN for jocking their idea. Anyway,
Exactly.
And also after this is going to be the Sports Exchange with Scott Morganroth, and then boogie on back over for the Sports Arena with Eric Wilson and the crew. But just so everyone knows, if you are a first-time subscriber to check us out, we are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You're more than likely checking us out on one of those platforms. Just know you can reach us also on the other two. And like I said, tune in, but more importantly, leave that subscribe, because Sideline Sports, we've got a plethora of shows, the ones that I just mentioned, and then some. We have great all day, all night content. And also, we are sponsored by the Score No Score app that is on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So, to kick things off.
It might also be on the Tesla Play Store if Elon has anything to say about
it. Yo, I don't trust Twitter anymore. I just don't.
Elon,
I didn't trust it to begin with. I just mess around with people.
Elon at this point is like the ending to Scarface when Tony has that huge mountain of like Coke on the table and he goes face first in it and it's right before the guys break in. It's pretty much Elon right now. He just has it all over his face. There's only a matter of time.
He just wanted to kill the social platform. Social media platform. I'm convinced of that.
I hope so.
The only thing I can say about Twitter is it allows me to put my content out there for fans, podcasters, broadcasters to look at. The rest I can care less about. It's a labor of love that you have to do whether you like it or not.
Yep.
There's always a drawback to something, I guess. But
yeah, right.
Well, so let's get on to our first topic. This has been hashed all week. If you all missed the Sports Arena early this week, most definitely going to check that out. They had a really great conversation about this. Shout out to Ray J. Lynn, Eric Wilson, Mike Caratudo, and John Shear on that episode. So, as you all may know already, Deion Sanders has accepted the head coaching job at the University of Colorado. He went in there and met up with some of the team. He let them know his intentions. Some of them rubbed people the wrong way. Some people were okay with it. Deion said he's bringing some crew with him. There's been a lot of people out there critical about the move, some supportive about the move. Some look at it as, well, he leveled up. Another is looking at it as he sold out. We don't know where everyone is on the spectrum. I'm seeing kind of an even split this time. But wanted to pass this on.
Hey, guys, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I've got to remove myself. I'm sorry, Jay. My family's blowing up my cell phone. I'm sorry.
Okay. Just come on right back. Well, I was going to go to her first, but I'm going to move on to Scott first. Scott, for once, I'm going to have you go first. Your thoughts on Deion Sanders in the move, and, of course, raw thoughts, just whatever it is you got.
Well, it doesn't surprise me he was going to make a move. I just was surprised he went to Colorado. Let's face the reality. I don't think the Boulder job is one of the more glorified jobs out there, but let's face the reality. Do I think that it was a matter of if or when? Yeah, of course it was. The guy had done what he had done for the HBCU universities. I give him credit. The only thing I never liked about Deion Sanders was that he made a smart aleck comment when Barry Sanders was coming out that the Lions couldn't afford him. Well, maybe Deion needed to go back to accounting school because the last I heard that the Fords actually own the Ford Motor Company and they're billionaires. So I think the Fords definitely could have afforded Deion Sanders, and I'll always be partial that the Lions got the better Sanders as in Barry Sanders. So we aren't complaining back home there. But back to the topic at hand. Deion Sanders, I think he did an unbelievable job at Jackson State. It wasn't a matter of if he was going to get a Power 5 job. It was a matter of when. I was hoping he would go to Auburn, really. I think he could have had a bigger impact. I think he was ready for the SEC, and he's familiar with that neck of the woods. In fact, I wish he would have gone when it was available to Florida State, his alma mater. So, you think of other possibilities that he could have gone to. But you know what? I admire the guy. Colorado has been dormant for a lot of years. It really has. So if this guy can turn Colorado around, you know where his next stop will be?
Florida State.
No, the NFL.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting take on that one.
Listen, there's a rule here, and sometimes it always doesn't work that way. Okay, but you conquer one level, you go to the next, then you get it in you, and then you go to the next. So you go from HBCU, you go to Power 5 because Colorado still is a Power 5, and don't forget the fact that USC and UCLA are going to the Big 10, so therefore they could be relevant in about a year or two to be competitive in a conference to be had, and then all of a sudden he goes to the NFL. So there's a roadmap here where when you've accomplished one, you go to the next, and I know in his mind that he'd love to be able to go ahead and coach in the NFL. And the amazing part about it, even though I don't like his tolerance and arrogance, he'll win at every level. He will. He even took former Florida Atlantic coach Willie Taggart off our hands, and he's out there. Mike Zimmer, I hear, is being rumored to go out there. So there's no doubt this guy's going to assemble an unbelievable coaching staff. So I wish Deion well. I hope he does well here. And to me, he reinvented himself from a player to a broadcaster to a coach. And now I'm curious to see what he does at this next level. So more power to Deion. I am rooting for you. I really am. I'd like to see him do well.
That's interesting take. I actually had come up the other day that should he turn Colorado around, that he'll be the head coach of Florida State within 2 or 3 years. But that's an interesting take that you gave. Now,
Denzel, I'm sorry. Not if Mike Norvell continues to win there. Florida State's not going to get rid of Mike Norvell if he's doing well for the sake of Deion Sanders taking the job. That's the only thing. But I know where you're going with it. But, if Florida State goes backwards, then, yeah, I can see him going there. But, no, I think he's going to the NFL. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to incorporate that.
Oh, no, that's no problem at all. Now, we all know that nothing is promised because Nick Saban once upon a time was at Michigan State and then LSU. Then he went to the Miami Dolphins. He realized his ceiling was college football. He went to Alabama and created their dynasty again. So, nothing is promised. Would I like to see him get a shot at the pros? Yes. I don't know. I just kind of feel like Deion has so far, if not both feet, he set at least one foot in college football. And here he is. He has the opportunity to turn around a Power 5 school. Colorado has went from being the forgotten about team in the Big 12 to the forgotten about team in the Pac-12.
Yeah, but there's one piece of information I have to give you about the Miami situation, all right? Had the Dolphins signed Drew Brees and not settle for Joey Harrington, I predict Saban would have been there. So he jumped the gun to go to Alabama. He knows he's a good college coach. He's won there. But think about it. Can you guys visualize in your mind that if Drew Brees, a healthy Drew Brees, played for the Dolphins, then they'd be forgetting about Dan Marino a whole lot quicker. So I think he would have stayed there. And I actually saw the Dolphins take on the Packers when Joey Harrington was there. And I covered a Dolphins game when Nick Saban was there. So I think he would have stayed at Miami, but then he got smart and went to Alabama, and we know the rest is history there. But I thought that might help you out a little bit to give you some clarity on the situation between the college and the pro situation. He would have done all right in the pros. It's not like he was bad. He was 15 and 17. Other coaches have done a whole lot worse than him at that particular level. It's just he got smart, took the money, went to Alabama, and a statue is on the way whenever they may build it. So.
I don't know. I don't know that Brees would have been who Brees is had he not stayed in New Orleans.
Right.
Because, keep in mind, I hate with unabridged passion Sean Payton. He approved Bountygate, right? So I don't think the man should be allowed to coach. I don't think he should have been able to coach again. But he stuck by Brees through 3 ACLs, messed up shoulder. Like, I don't know that Saban would have done that. I mean, and I'm not trying to be mean, but back to Deion. Jacob, have you already gone yet? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, go.
Oops.
And we lost Jay for a second, so I'm just going to say.
He'll be back. Yeah, I can produce.
I stayed away from this all week because I wanted to talk about it here.
Okay.
No, because I've been everybody has seen my Facebooks, my Twitters, my everything. I have been a big time advocate of HBCUs for as long as I've known. As long as I've known. The one thing is because there's a thing about me is I like the idea of a bit of a broken toy. It's just kind of what Dusty Rhodes used to say. Broken toy, you'll be able to have something to fix. And I love the idea. And the thing about HBCUs is they normally have to go hat in hand to the government every year for help. Their facilities are never up to par. They're never up. Their like lunchrooms, their classrooms, their everything are never really up to par. They have to get money to survive each and every year. And when Deion got there, I had this thought process. This can do something not for just Jackson State, but for HBCUs. Get them out there. And did it? Oh, yeah, it did. 10-year, $125 million deal with ESPN to air the games. Guess what? Bigger time when he was on, but I'll bring that up in a minute. They got to get the game day. They got to get college game day at an HBCU school. Deion put half of his income to fix up all of their facilities, and they had a locker room. They had a brand new field, brand new turf, brand new everything. They did all that, and I give all that credit. But do you want to know this? That was that school. He could have stayed longer, and we could have had more and more and more of this. Could have done this to other schools. Could have brought this. It's like without Deion now, yeah, there's a 10-year, $125 million deal. But if there isn't anything to watch, ESPN is eventually just going to put them at the 11 o'clock hour on a Saturday or late at night where no one can see it. And they'll do that in about a year or two. And they would do that because they've done that with women's sports. And you know this, Jen. They'll have the contract, but then they'll throw it in the middle of nowhere. People can't see it. And they'll do this now. Deion could have, there are schools that they had all his money, but it's like Jackson State's help, but he could have helped raise money for them. He could have helped the other schools get notoriety. He could have helped all that stuff and stuck around. Instead, they're going to be forgotten within a year again and doing the same thing. This was not a Jackson State thing. This is not a Colorado thing. In fact, is he a pretty good coach? Sure. But this isn't a wins and losses thing. We need HBCUs for kids who have a dream to do this. That go to the Alabama A&Ms, the Hamptons, the Florida A&, you know what I'm saying?
NCA&T.
NCA&T, yeah. All of these, the ones that have dreams of this. All of these, you don't want
Moorhead.
these going down. Huh?
Moorhead,
yep. You don't want these.
Hell, I wanted to go to Moorhead.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just saying. Yeah, Moorhead, no kidding. You mean Morehouse. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, Morehouse, sorry.
No
it's
kidding.
a very long day.
I know, man.
Sorry, graduates from Morehouse.
I had to let in on that joke for I got you. But we could say Hillman if we want to go fictional.
Yeah.
But
nah, Crosby owns that one.
Yeah. But this to me is the biggest disappointment because he's now just another coach. There was a chance at getting a real statue and a real deal as far as a Mount Rushmore of getting up that, not only helping your school, not only getting anything. Forget the idea of FCS. You could have brought him into the Division I. Could have done any of that, getting them out there. You could have gotten them against the Alabamas when they were ready. You could have gotten all of these schools ready instead of Savannah State going in and getting beat 98-0. You could have gotten them to get real. They got a number one. They got a number one. They got a number one high schooler for the first time ever, and he's going to leave. He's going to leave because there's no Deion. And then when are they ever going to have this again? And it's like this is selfish.
Yeah, he did not give Jackson State time to build a legacy or enough traction to build on.
No.
But Deion Sanders has always been selfish.
You're right. And it's like, and the thing is about Deion, he said God told him to go to an HBCU, to go help with HBCUs. And he would say that, but it's like, and if that's the case, you just ran from God.
Yeah. Well, that's heavy. I want to interject something that will probably help you out a little bit. I know that Jackson State was supposed to take on Tennessee State, and that game was obviously they got out of it now. And I think Arkansas Pine Bluff is going to be playing Tennessee State, a battle of HBCU. So, and I know that Sanders said he didn't want to play in the game anymore because there was no money. They're going to go broke, and he can't afford to play those games anymore. But meanwhile, everything you guys are saying are documenting that you had a guy that was great that he went ahead and took the dive into HBCUs. Let's not forget that Walter Payton and Jerry Rice played at these universities too. So it's not like you can't find exceptional talent at the HBCU level. And everything you guys are saying is so on target. It's ridiculous, Do
you know these HBCUs? There's these kids. I'll bring this up. There are African American kids that I've talked to. Now, you see, living in a city like I have, and I was going to say, where in the world did Jay go?
I don't know. He's messing with me again.
Yeah.
Oh, now you see him. Now you don't.
No. Okay. Hey, Jay.
I'm here now.
Glad to see you back. I was going to say this. I was bringing this up about Deion Sanders, and you've known me with this. You've known me with this. What I feel about this, so I don't have to go through the whole thing. But do you know how many people I will talk to the African American kids, and I will talk to the parents, and there's areas of like in the city where their dreams are the post office. So
yeah, it's a real job. Yeah, and it's got great benefits.
And it's a government job. And it's like this. That means these kids can't dream. And if a place like an HBCU or any of these schools, they can have a possibility of dreaming.
You know what though? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this has gotten me through a lot of very dark times in my personal life. Whatever setback is a setup for something so much better than you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Imagine Josh Norman going in with his enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine Cam Newton going in. Imagine all of these other possibilities. Warren Moon. Yep. Imagine just all these players that could actually go into HBCUs and make a difference.
All I know, you're right. And all I know is I'm sick and tired of knowing that, because I've followed these things the last couple of years doing Pundits Pundit and building this, and I'm tired of hearing that they have to go hat in hand to just try to survive. A lot of them do. The Jackson State was the start. What's that noise?
Sorry, I was changing my settings. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But I'm tired of HBCUs going to the government hat in hand, barely surviving. I'm absolutely tired of it. Deion could have had one. Remember, I said on Sunday night with Basket Bros that I said that whole situation with that women's tournament would have been absolutely kibosh if Pat Summitt was alive with one phone call.
Yeah, I remember that.
Deion was that person that could have had that one phone call to help everybody else, and now it's gone. No one's going to trust him. No, I'm just saying at the time. I'm just saying.
I think there's other people too. But here's the thing. The NFL could give money to these schools too. 80% of our NFL players are African American.
And you know something, and this is correct. And by the way, maybe you guys don't like him, but there was a good point with this. Jason Whitlock, he made a point on this. And I'm not that big of a fan of him either, but he made a wonderful point on this. That you don't see a LeBron giving piles of money on these. Certain people making piles of money toward the HBCUs and all of these right here. You don't see it. And it's like they could be doing it too. And we don't. They could be doing it also. And I always wanted to know what you thought of it, Jay.
With the whole thing, well, Ray brought up a point the other day because it was said that, when he left the blueprint on how to get it done, but you have to be someone of Deion's caliber in order to pull it off. You know, even Dion. You know, like John Robinson. You know what I mean? Like some of those guys. You got to be somewhere at a legendary or near legendary status to pull it off. How many recruits? And you can go back.
Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson. My bad. Eddie Robinson, not John Robinson. Yes, Eddie Robinson. You know, he at one point in time was the HBCU coach.
Yep.
You know, if you wanted to go play ball at a top tier HBCU school, you went to Grambling at one point in time.
61 years.
Yes, you know what I mean? And so with that being said, I do agree that there may be stuff going on behind the scenes that doesn't get reported that we don't see, you know, because all we see, you know, it's a lot like whenever we talk in general with any sport. Like all we see are the games. Every now and again they may cut to a clip of them in practice, interviewing one of the players, interviewing Shaq or AI or Kobe or Jordan or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
We don't know what happened behind the scene. We all watched The Last Dance. And Jordan revealed what happened in that locker room. And that was our first taste of it in how many years? Almost 30 years, you know? We didn't know that was going on. We didn't know that Jordan was back there bullying people. We didn't know that Steve Kerr swung on Michael Jordan or anything like that. But my point is this, and bridging it to what's going on right now, is as evil and money hungry as the NFL can be, it's entirely possible they could be donating some money too, you know? And it may not even be the NFL. It could be a team owner, you know? Team owners, they've donated to causes as well. It very well could be. So I do agree. There may be some things going on behind the scenes that we just don't see that doesn't get reported.
Yeah, don't forget about Doug Williams in this whole equation too, because, you know, he's gone back and forth as well. I mean, first of all, you talk about a guy who's made a contribution from the African-American side, being a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and then going to Grambling, following in the footsteps of Eddie Robinson. My goodness, Doug Williams, I don't think gets enough credit, even though he may not have the name notoriety that Deion Sanders was. But, you know, Denzel, I liked your choice of words pertaining to Deion Sanders. I thought they really would. You know, like along the lines of capable of high profile things along those lines when you're bringing individual. And that's where you guys are really on target with all of them. I really believe that. But when you talk about high profile individuals willing to go ahead and coach at that level, like I mentioned earlier in the show, okay, you get some great players at this level. And obviously you don't have to be a Division I player to be good. You can find hidden gems anywhere. I don't care where. I already mentioned Jerry Rice and Walter Payton. Never heard of them? Guess what? They're pretty good. And they won Super Bowls a lot more. So, you know, and I cover college football, as you can hardly tell by the U, right? Okay, so I see a lot of players. I cover Florida Atlantic, covered a lot of teams. So hidden gems can come anywhere. You know, so to me, Doug Williams is one guy who I think is a forgotten name that should be brought up when you talk about HBCU talk, even though I know Deion Sanders had the money, the resources to try to help Jackson State out and did what he had until the business side took over, and then he made the next step. So, you know, I understand both sides. Jacob, you make a very I like where you're going with this whole thing. The one man that had a chance to do it. And I also like the Pat Summitt example that we had on Sunday night as well, that she could have done more for this particular sport. And the way you neatly tied the two together. That to me is good.
Appreciate it. And you know something, you brought something up, Jay, big time. You brought something up big time on this. You said, they might not be covered. That's the example of what I call hit and run media.
Yes, exactly. You know,
guess what? Guess what? It doesn't have any chaos, so we don't need to get it. It's like, and that is something that needs to be covered. If there is something, it needs to be covered.
It needs to be covered, especially the bad light that Roger Goodell has. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he's doing something that is helping these kids out, it does need to get recognized, you know. But seemingly sometimes whenever, you know, the media, if they deem you a bad guy, you stay a bad guy, you know. And to Scott's point, with Doug Williams was somebody in the NFL even before Deion. He was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. So you
named Super Bowl MVP
and Super Bowl MVP.
But he's back
so you
with
would
the
think,
Redskins
but the thing
now.
with Deion is
Commanders.
though. Yes, yeah, he went back. Yes, he sure did. He sure did go back. The thing with Deion though is Deion is flashy, and kids love flash. At the end of the day, they look at Deion then, and they're like, "Whoa, bro was ahead of his time." You
So he
know,
called Coach
But
Braun.
conversely,
exactly.
I've always kind of viewed Deion as a little bit of a bully who can't take it himself.
Well, me personally, I think
That's why I think he'll be a better college coach than an NFL coach, because Deion's got no respect for anybody but himself.
Well, I think he's just
actually
a simple
downright
egomaniac
disrespectful,
is
in
what
my
he
opinion.
is.
Well, yeah, and that's disrespectful to other players.
Right. He's a prima donna egomaniac, makes a lot of money, and makes a lot of noise. Okay. That's what he does. I mean, listen, his pattern is what it is over the years. Okay. First, he went from prime time. I'm going to go jump around from one Super Bowl to another, winning a lot. If Atlanta wasn't good enough, let's go to Dallas. If Dallas wasn't good enough, let's go to Frisco. If that wasn't good enough, oh, now we get to be prime time.
Let's go to Buffalo. No, I mean Baltimore.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, and then he goes on the air, and all of a sudden, I mean, whether you know it or not, from what I heard, at one point, I think he had some mental problems contemplating suicide too, because he didn't know what to do afterwards. And this is what I had heard and read back.
That happens to a lot of athletes.
Well, I know, I understand, but I'm making a point of where this guy has been. There's an old adage called peak to pits, and a lot of athletes tend to fall into that category. But I'm telling you, he reinvented him as a coach. But that's not the point. He's a pompous prima donna. I don't like the guy. I never have, but I respect what he's doing on the coaching side. Yes. And if he's trying to be a role model, then you have to be objective. And the one thing we're taught in journalism is you have to do the best you can and be objective. The 5 W's and 1 H are the Bible of journalism, and being objective is the second thing. And you editorialize and you earn the right to be a columnist. And to me, Deion Sanders is what he is. He's a pompous. Do I think he can make it a pros? Maybe. I don't know. And I'm using a very big maybe. I don't know, because it's a tough transition. But we're talking about young kids that are looking up to a guy right now. And I don't know. We'll see. I think he'll do okay over at Colorado. Maybe okay. But, it's like anybody else. Once you've had a challenge for 2, 3, 4 years, you get tired of it, you look for something else. And you don't know where this guy's mind is. I've done everything at Colorado. Where am I going to go? Well, whatever.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to bring up what Lee said. And that's sad because you know what? There is that impression. I know I'm lucky. NC A&T is one of the more elite HBCUs, but I don't know how many bowl games they've been to. I don't know how many bowl games Morehouse has been to. I just don't. I'm not the biggest college football fan. I can carry my own, but I'm an NFL girl. That being said, that makes me really sad because no school should be a downgrade.
No, it really shouldn't.
Especially, you look at some of the best in the league. I'm sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was agreeing with what you were saying, especially since, and we've seen to where that FCS school will upset an FBS school, So, and you know what? Maybe this is what we need to see more in order for the true eyes to be seen on it. Maybe we need to see more HBCU versus FBS matchups. Maybe if we see an HBCU or two upset one of the big dogs, they'll look at them and say, hang on a second. Maybe they are talented. Or maybe there's another agenda. Maybe they've been trying to, but the big dogs are scared of them.
Yeah, but you know what, though?
There was a chance. I'll tell you what, though. I don't think it's there.
On his way out the door, though, I want to just make this very clear, okay? That Deion Sanders is hoping Jackson State would play a bowl game. And obviously his comments went on deaf ears is what they did. And at that point, we don't know exactly, in my opinion, okay, where his mind was at. But, I'm glad we spent a lot of time on the topic. I realize we probably have to go on to something else.
Yeah,
this
we do.
But this one's a hot potato if you ever bring it.
It really is. Like, I think we could discuss it for the next 30 minutes.
It is.
But dedicate the entire hour to it. But
next 90 minutes.
But with that said, we are at the midway point of the show. But it's a great way to segue into our next topic. Speaking of coaches, and that is, and I don't know who this was. Jacob, was this you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do coaches need to work around the clock to be successful? Oh, man. So you think of coaches and imagine them, an NFL coach, a college coach, it's
hey, baby.
Some people on the surface would say, oh, man, it's hard as hell to be a quarterback because you got to study this and do that, whatever. Hardest part on the team. I'm like, Head coach. That's the hardest job. That's the hardest. Looking at what they go through, there is no, in my opinion, there is no job in sports that ages you faster than being a head coach. If you don't believe me,
outside of president.
Well, I said in sports, but yeah. But if you don't believe me, go take a look at Bill Belichick 10 years ago and look at him now. He looks like he put on 15 or 20 years.
Where did Jacob go? Did you
go
pull up?
Hold on.
Okay, I was
we'll be back. But as far as working around the clock, I mean, I guess it all depends on who you're asking. But part of me wants to say yes, you do, because we've seen Belichick win 6 and go to 8. He has a total of 8 Super Bowl rings in his career. 2 as a defensive coordinator, 6 as a head coach. And one can only imagine the type of work that he put in, even as a defensive coordinator. So just imagine how much work he put in as a head coach. But that's just one example.
Well, it's like, I saw on Twitter the other day that a fan was trying to give Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Steelers, encouragement during halftime. Like he was walking in the corridor or something.
I'm effing working.
And he goes, yeah, I'm effing working, man. Thanks, though.
Yeah. That's
the thing, because you've got to rely on your coordinators, your play callers. You've got to rely on everybody else to do their job too. Like you, as the head coach, you have to go in and like review tape yourself, see what other people aren't seeing. But you have the biggest job of the head coach is to surround themselves with a good OC, a good DC. Love you, sweet dreams. Quarterback coach. In some cases, like Hackett, Jordan, I know you love him. Your head coach assistant. I don't know. Like you have to bust your butt, but it's like Scott said earlier, it's a trajectory. With the exception of Jeff Saturday, how many people have literally gone in and just gotten a head coach position on any level?
Right.
Without having called a play.
Yeah.
Without having called one play. And I totally get what you're saying, because you do have to delegate. Being the top dog, you have to learn how to delegate. But also at the same time, you do also have to put in that extra, because those coaches are getting paid millions of dollars too. And they know that their jobs are on the line as well. So, I mean, but Jacob, you brought this up to be on the show. Let's see your thoughts on it.
I watched you. Did you watch the pivot interview with Mike Tomlin?
I missed that one.
Go watch it. It's amazing. But it's with Ryan Clark. It's with a bunch of the other older players, and then Mike Tomlin. Amazing. It happened over the summer. He's an awesome. But anyway, he said this. I'm gonna give you a little preview of it. He said that he was wondering, what am I going to do? This is when he was working with Tony Dungy. This is going to be when he was 28 years old, brand new kid, scared half to death. So he walks in, he's all nervous, and he notices Dungy's kid sitting on the floor playing video games on the screen. And he had to walk over him and all that kind of stuff like that. And then he was like, Tony was hanging out with his kid before there were a little meeting and stuff like that. And he was saying to the Tomlin, you don't have to make this your whole darn life. Make sure your family knows you.
Yeah.
And then there's the example of Bruce Arians, another favorite of mine, of something where I blame the Bears fans for wanting too much and getting Cutler, and we have no Bruce Arians. And I love Bruce Arians, and he said himself, do not miss your kids' recitals or you're fired. Do not miss your kids' lives or you're fired. He said that. I love that, every bit of it. Now, this is my thing, and this is what I say all the time. This is somebody who wants to coach one day, and I'm going to have to try it out and test it out if I get a chance to. This is what I say. If you are building a level of efficiency, think of the idea of John Wooden from the day. Right. Hour and a half, work your heart out. You're working on efficiency. Why do you have to do any more than that? Why can't you have a life? And all I know from the ones that don't have a life and they're going like crazy, I mean, Andy Reid's lost one kid and is going to lose another one to prison. And it's going to be. And then there's ones there was the one that just got a DUI. They have so much alcoholism in this, so much pressure. They put alcoholism. so much alcohol problems in this business, for especially the ones that are just working constantly.
Mhm.
And it's like, at some point, are you teaching efficiency, or are you teaching your kids or your adults that you're coaching? Are you teaching them how to be able to read things themselves and do it out there? Are you teaching them, or are you trying to control everything like Matt Nagy or Matt Rule? I'm saying
He got sent back to school.
he did, but I'm saying
I feel sorry
Matt
for
Rule,
Nebraska.
you're right, but I'm saying Matt Rule tried controlling every dime of it. Matt Nagy tried controlling everything of it. Didn't do a thing. Are you trying to control every little detail? The thing is, when you're doing that, do you have time for what's important in life? And then when you have so much of that pressure, you have so much of everything, you're getting into drinking, you lose your kids. I don't think it's. I think if you have an efficiency thing and you teach that, you don't have to make that your whole life.
Absolutely. Excellent points. And whenever you brought up the whole family thing, and it's not football coach related, but it reminded me of, have you seen or do you remember the ESPN 30 for 30 with Ric Flair? It's like the best one that I know I'd ever seen.
Yep.
Remember when his son who committed suicide got brought up and he broke down? He said, I wish I would have been there more for him. But the business kept calling. He was always on the road, And that's a scary thought, man, because you don't want to be that coach. Andy Reid, went through it and everything. But you don't want to be in a position where it's like, wow, I got so tied up in this that my family don't know who I am, or unfortunately one of them's gone. I didn't get the chance to do what I needed to do right by them. But Pastor Scott, your thoughts about this? Do you think coaches need to work around the clock to be successful?
Oh, I love this topic. When I saw it, I knew I was going to salivate on this one. So, you ready? Hockey? No, they won't do it. Okay. Baseball? They won't do it. Okay. Basketball? They won't do it. Okay. Football? Yes. I have been in Howard Schnellenberger's office. Okay. And I've seen a sofa bed in there and couches. Football coaches have some of the best furniture I have ever seen in my life. Sofa bed, couches, refrigerators, man. You can live at these joints. My goodness. So hockey, no worry about it. It really depends on the sport. But football, college, pro, it doesn't matter. But let me ask you guys a question, okay? I'll put the question cap on. What former NFL coach invented the term burnout?
Was that Tom Landry?
Dick Vermeil? Was it Dick Vermeil?
Dick Vermeil, yeah.
Dick Vermeil.
Now, how did that work out? He leaves Philadelphia, right? Comes back several years later after being in the booth. And by the way, if you're a St. Louis Rams fan, no, not LA, so don't hashtag it LA. He did win a Super Bowl under a guy by the name of Kurt Warner. Ever heard of him? Okay. He's kind of like in the Football Hall of Fame. Well, of course, I get it right, one of the Hall of Fames. Mm-hmm. So the reality is, to answer your question, do they need to work around the clock? I would think football coaches do, because it's such a more complicated sport involving film study and game plan preparing. Whereas when you look at hockey, when you look at basketball, I would say there's a lot more athleticism involved in terms of running up and down the court, dividing plays. It doesn't mean that I'm taking away the significance that there's not preparation. I just want to make sure I preface that point, okay? Because that's not where I'm going there. But hockey and basketball, baseball's a chess game, okay? But I've seen ball managers get to the ballpark, for a 7 o'clock game. They get there like 10, 11 or whatever it may, and they're there late. So they don't have to. They realize that they live with each other on the road too. They take these long trips. So you have to bond together. So I think the best way to answer your question is it depends on the sport. I would always think, I'm a blue collar rat. I work around the clock. My wife, Candy, will tell you she drives her nuts when I sleep 2 to 3 hours a day. And at my age, approaching 60, by the way, and actually 2-3 weeks from tomorrow, whatever, the 29th is all you need to know. Okay. She's going to tell you right now, she don't like it when I'm up all the time, but when those wheels are turning, they're turning. I could have been a coach, but then again, nobody would listen to me anyways. But that's the fact.
Oh, and let me.
What'd you say?
Huh?
What did you say?
My birthday's December 29th.
No, I was being sarcastic, Scott.
Oh, he said no.
I didn't hear that part.
Hey, let me bring this part real fast. I'm going to bring two legends into the play as examples: Tom Landry and Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was a 24/7, 365 obsessed person with the system that he was building.
Right.
And for years, he doubted himself. He got just jobs taken away by Paul Brown when Paul Brown basically ran the league because the guy, it wasn't necessarily a personal thing. He did not think Bill Walsh could handle the ups and downs, and Bill Walsh had a serious depression issue and serious doubt all the time, even before and everything. And he got the 2 and 14s and 3 and 13s nearly killed him. And it did all that. And by the way, he got those 3 Super Bowls, and there was another after him. He got those 3 Super Bowls, and then it just wore him to a frazzle. It wore him to a frazzle and everything like that. Then you get Tom Landry, who worked on efficiency. He invented systems. But you want to know what he was doing in the offseason? He was going on Billy Graham crusades. He was going on Billy Graham. He worked out every day before his deal. You know what I'm saying? He worked out every day. He had different hobbies, different things like that. He worked on efficiency with his teams. He worked on everything. Did he work hard? Absolutely. He was 29 years. But he did those crusades. He worked out. He was spent time with his family. He did all that stuff like that. I mean, and it's like, truthfully, they both, I mean, at the same time, though, one had a more fruitful life, and one basically left early because it wore him out.
Well, let me tell you this. You know who was the first NFL coach that I ever worked with? This will blow you guys away. Don Shula.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, I work with Don Shula, and, you know, I can tell you right now, Don Shula was the type of guy that delegated, and he had great assistant coaches, but still worked a lot of hours. And when you work with Don Shula, I was intimidated by the guy. The first time I ever worked with him was during the NFL draft, and he looked at me like some little kid there where I felt like I was outclassed. But I was still young for working for a professional outlet, but he got to know me as time went on. It's like, you know, you're talking about a legend versus a young guy like me, kind of getting the feel. But Don Shula was strong on delegation. And that's the one thing. Listen, when you got Howard Schnellenberger, you have tons of assistant coaches that go on to get head coaching jobs. How are they going to get them? Through delegation, right?
Yeah.
Correct? So you have to understand. But it all depends on the sport, is what I keep telling you guys. It depends on the sport. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it depends on the sport. And I do agree that football is the toughest. And I'll even do you one further.
Right.
I personally believe, because you bring up these pro coaches, I personally believe college coaches have it the hardest in sports. Reason being is because for the college football coach, they're doing everything that you guys said pro coaches do. They also have to recruit. That means sometimes fly or drive to a prospect's location and talk them into coming and playing at their institution. And they sometimes act as father figures. Some of these guys coming in, some of these kids, they haven't had any fathers around. Those 3 or 4 years playing football for them, that coach is the closest thing they'll have to a father figure. The closest thing they'll have.
Same
you know,
in basketball too.
Yes.
Look at what
absolutely.
Pitt's dealing with right
basketball
now.
As well.
Their basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
There was a criminal investigation in one of their starters on their basketball team, and he's, I think, been kicked out of the school in a sense. Then, and that all just happened. I don't think it was a shooting.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was right now.
What do you
it was
think
a long
overall,
day.
Jen, what do you think overall? What do you think overall, though, Jen?
I think you're going to have your coaches who do work around the clock. You're going to have success like Matt Rule had, like Matt Nagy had. Because I actually think they did work hard. I do, 100%. I think they didn't have a fulfilled life, which is why Landry had a more fulfilled life, for your example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he lasted longer.
Yeah.
Lombardi had a fulfilled life, lasted longer. Ron Rivera doing amazing things while fighting cancer. I mean, doing everything while everything's going on with Dan Snyder. I mean, people can hate on him all he wants, but he's got that team turned around in 3 years. Just saying.
Yeah. You know, it's nuts. And I know Jacob will know what I'm talking about. Y'all remember the sitcom on ESPN that lasted for 1 season called Playmakers?
You got it straight, I do.
If you want to have any idea of what a head coach goes through, you remember one of his coordinators had to tell him, you better go get checked out. That's what coaches have to deal with. That show was so real, the NFL called for it to be canceled because it was too real. That's what coaches go through right there. I remember it was the first episode. Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been calling for it to be resurrected. I remember the first episode, and the coach in a monologue, he was saying, "I once had a player offer me half his salary just so I don't cut him." You know?
Okay, but here's the thing: I feel like if you're passionate about your job, you're regardless of what you do, you're gonna throw it all in. Like right now, my passion at work is to figure out what the heck I'm doing because I get lost. I'm still in training, and that's my passion. That's my driving force. So, like right now, even though we're on this show, I'm thinking of 10 things I could be doing for work to make my life a little easier, make my processes easier. And y'all know I love my shows. So, I mean, that's just who people are. I've said it once. I will say it again. People are not born to be victims. They're born to be superstars.
Yes.
And you have to find your passion.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'll tell you this. Part of the reason I have this, thought process like I do, the idea of working on efficiency. Like if I would become a coach, the first thing I'd be helping is that young kid figure out how he's going to know how to read the field himself. I don't want to have to do every little detail. I don't want to, and everything, because this is the truth of it all. I love sports. Would I love the coaching? Oh God. But my whole thing would be to be a mentor. I want them to be able to learn. I want to teach them to have to trust in themselves of what they see. Because personally to me, I want to have a life. I want my kids to know me when I have kids one day. I want to be able to have a life. I want to be able to dig. I want to be able to get along with my wife. I don't want to, the one thing you said about Lombardi, very, very true. Fulfilled life, everything like that. He also worked himself and he died at 57.
Yeah, he did.
And his wife was an alcoholic. And it's like, and these are things. I don't want that part. And it's like, and the thing is now I brought this up because we hear so much alcoholism in coaching. It's like they put pressure on themselves and they do all this. And I'm like, there's a way to do these. I'm not saying that.
Welcome to being a banker too, though. I mean, straight up, if you're going to drink, you're going to drink. You can't just say it's because it's the pressures of your job because that's every stinking job out there.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, one job is only more stressful than another. If you're the president of the United States, or if, like you really hate your job or you hate the work environment because everything else is, guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we do have to get on to our next topic. We have about 8 minutes before we wrap up. Let's see here.
Let's go with zero.
All right. Oh, you want to go to that one?
Well, we can do this one real fast. We can do Jacob, just tell everybody what this is. None of us had really heard about it.
Well, there is a Maurice Podoloff Award for the best regular season team in the NBA, and the reason I ask, the reason I ask if the things have gone too far is because we used to have the NBA Finals. You get that award, you're done. Now you get the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson awards for the Eastern and Western.
I wasn't too mad at.
No, I'm not too mad at it. No, not at all. I'm just telling you the thing. But now that this keeps going up, I mean, is there going to be an award for an 8th seed one day? You're asking as they keep going on. It's like the reason I was saying this is because I bring this up all the time about sports. I bring this up all the time around sports. It's like it is run by agents and lawyers now. It's like I feel like that this is a tool for an agent to be able to try to get more money for their thing. Guess what? We led you to the best regular season record. Now we want more money. Yeah. It's like I feel like it's another example to be able to do that. So it's like I feel like to me this is a bit of a trophy, but I'm like I think we're at the very bare edge.
Will, sorry, that was.
I like Will Vogel's comment.
Yeah, I do too.
They are good. Good job, Will. This is really good.
Yeah. That one right there, and Jacob, to your point, there is a award for the 8th seed. It's called winning the play-in tournament. But
Yeah.
swinging on over to because in the playing tournament you get the 7th and 8th seed. You know,
Let me
Yeah.
tell you, Wilkins
Good.
have some good ones every now and then, but this is one of his better ones.
yeah. Scott, what do you think, man?
What do I think? I think it's laughable, to be honest with you. I actually, before we came on our broadcast tonight, tweeted something about, the drama in the NBA on my Twitter page, and it wouldn't matter for the last 2 or 3, 4 weeks when it was on there. It was so timely. What do I think of it? This is way too far. My God, let's go out there and have a play-in trophy. Let's go out there and have everything that's wrong with the league is all attributed to one person right now, Adam Silver. He really is. If you talk about the patty cake baker's man of commissioners, you got it. Because
but he's also done some good things too,
oh,
Scott.
come on, Jen. Give me my due, okay? Please. All right. That's all I ask. Yeah, what? I'd like to know what. Okay, we're going to have the only thing he's done good was he got rid of Donald Sterling, okay, because he needed to go. I'll give him that.
And Server.
Well, yeah, they're almost done with him, but that's fine. But they're getting rid of him. But all this stuff about play-in tournament, I still think it's a gimmick, okay? I don't like it. I understand it. I can tolerate it. A play-in tournament, yeah, I know about the money part. You being a bank, my other half's in a bank, and we all kind of need that stuff, okay? But, the play-in tournament's a joke to get interest. Now they're talking about an in-season tournament. Give me a break, Adam. So bring back the basketball's version of the way the NBA was, and then you don't have tape delay.
Yes.
Okay. The reality is these awards are an absolute joke. They are. They're a joke.
Yeah, that's
to me, as I said in pre-pro, okay, that this to me reminds me of the President's Trophy in the National Hockey League. How many teams have won the Stanley Cup with the President's Trophy? Some, and a lot of them haven't. Maybe that might be the highlight of what they do, but it's an absolute atrocity to have, a new regular season award champion. Give me a break. And the best part about Pundits Pundit, okay? I wouldn't be caught dead putting this topic on the Sports Exchange.
Yeah,
Not my time. But I'm glad we're doing it here. Your time, not mine.
Oh no, absolutely. With the it's crazy. Yeah, you brought up the mid-season tournament. There's going to be an award for that one. And before we move on to our final topic, let me just say that if there was a regular season award in the NFL, Peyton Manning would have won it 10 years in a row. So, final topic, real quick.
I'll go last because I ain't gonna be quick on this one.
No charges have been filed against punter Matt Ariza. If you all have forgotten about it, or just a reminder, or if you hadn't heard about it, he got cut by the Buffalo Bills because he was under investigation while at Arizona State. There was a woman at a party that had gotten raped, and he was named as one of 3 men. Well, there was no charges filed against him. And real quick, Jacob, your thoughts on it?
He's going to get himself sued now. They're going to sue him, no question, his family and all that kind of stuff. And we've said it earlier tonight when we were all talking the pre-show. It's, the money talks. The money's talking here. There's no question about this. And she did it all right. She did. See, this is not a situation. This isn't the situation like we've talked about in the past with certain ones that have made up a story to try to get somebody in trouble. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. This isn't that. She did it all correctly. She went immediately. She went immediately to the right authorities. She showed proof. She showed everything. And it still didn't work. And there was a combination between any of the ones that ever lie about somebody. Okay, we'll say the Brian Banks story. Anyone that ever lies, the combination of that, and then the ones that did it correctly, that were assaulted, that were raped, and still this happens. The combination of all this, there's no wonder they can't get any traction on getting this stopped. You can't get any traction on all of this, these convictions. There's so few convictions. It's the hardest thing to do. And it's because of a big combination. And it's like, and the thing is, when she did it correctly, how fair is this? And what's this going to do to her psyche?
Yep.
Scott?
Everything correct. Scott?
I'll go along with Jacob on this one. That's all I have to say. He took the words out of my mouth is really what he did. I don't want to go any deeper. I'll just, if that's okay with you guys, I would prefer to. Jacob and I agree on a lot of things we do. Is it by choice or coincidence? Because we think a lot the way. But I'm going to lean on Jacob, and that's all I have to say about it.
Go ahead, Jen. I know you got a lot on your
No, go
mind.
ahead, Jay. Yeah, I got a lot. But I'll be fast. I'll talk fast.
Jacob said what I said before the pre-show. I said this is money.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's something that,
Okay.
that the audience doesn't want to hear, but it came down to money. This man comes from money. He has a lot of money, and money talks. You know what walks. It sucks, but that's exactly what happened here. That woman did everything right. Go ahead, Jenny.
Well,
everything.
If you want to go there, you must just go back to O.J. Simpson. And he had a lot of money to get out of that situation. That's another story all day long. But he had enough money to hire the best lawyers. And whether we think he did it and he didn't, the civil situation took over. And ultimately got his due going to jail in Vegas for trying something stupid anyway. So you want to talk about having deep pockets, deep lawyers? O.J. Simpson's your best reference of this guy. A lot of money, you can buy the best lawyers. And it goes back to what Jacob said, money, paying the lawyers, right? How many times, Jacob, have you talked about lawyer and money on our broadcast? Probably a lot.
Lawyers
right?
and agents run the leagues. Yeah.
There you go. So there's your O.J. Simpson reference there. Money, get out of trouble. That's that.
Okay, the proof is in the pudding. I think that this young lady's family needs to hire a PI and investigate any connections his family has with the DA. There are recorded phone calls with this young lady and him that the police set up where he willingly told her to go get tested for STDs. There's photographs, there's journals that she wrote in that are being able to be used in a court of law as what the victim's thought process was at that time. There were 2 other teams who knew about these accusations and the investigation around him, and they passed on him during the draft. The Bills decided not to return the calls to the young lady's attorney, and he made several. And McDermott, he released him for a reason. And I saw him that night. They released him the day after the Panthers preseason game. That jerk was on my sidelines. He tried talking smack to one of my players, and I looked at my girlfriend I was at the game with, and I go, I think he's trying to talk smack to one of our players. And she's a Bills fan too. So she's my one friend, one of my only friends that I allow to have due diligence because she grew up in Buffalo. But I want this young lady's family to get a PI because there's a connection there. The cops had all the evidence against him. The cops had all the evidence. There's photographs of her bruise. There's photographs of her neck bruise. There's witnesses aplenty who saw her coming down the stairs, shaky and drugged and bloody from several areas, including between her legs. They ripped piercings. They didn't give a crap. And you know what? Anybody who says this chick was in it for the money, she didn't know who the hell he was. He was a cute dude. She was flirting. She was on a college tour. She gets invited to a college party during a college tour weekend. She goes. How many other girls?
Yeah.
How many other girls? And I'm sorry, but if you're going to go after somebody going into the NFL, you're not going after the dude who's a punter.
Yeah. I was like, first of all, this dude's a college punter. You don't even know if he's going to get drafted. So all she's in it for the money. Yeah. And second of all, yeah, like you said, he's a punter.
He's a punter. He's making what, 200, 300K in his rookie contract?
Mm-hmm.
Legit.
That, yeah.
Shit, they're bankers that make more than that the first year out of college.
Hey, listen, if you want
not me, but there are some.
If you want to make light of a kicker, let's just go back to memory lane when I remember when Peyton Manning called out, what was it, Vanderjagt?
Mike Vanderjagt.
Mike Vanderjagt. That's some liquored up kicker. Boy, Peyton, I love you, my man.
Yeah. Peyton did his own things to women too.
No, but
I just think it's interesting. I just think it's very interesting that 2 other teams knew about it and passed on him.
No, I know. I'm just trying to utilize an example about a quarterback going after a kicker, and that was the one that always stood out in the history. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But
That's
they,
all.
I don't know. It's just sad. I think this young lady has nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
And good for her because she was 17 and she did the right thing. She went to campus police. She went to San Diego police. She took her clothes in. She did rape kits. She did drug tests. She admitted she had been drinking. So what? You gonna judge a girl for drinking? Screw you.
Right.
Yeah. The system failed her, plain and simple.
And like I said,
that's why I hope
where's her
IAB
psyche
is
at?
investigating, or whatever the prosecutor's office version of IAB is.
I really
That's
hope we
true.
don't hear a real tragedy that befalls her. I really do. I really hope not. Because that psyche, she's a young girl, and that psyche's going to be tough.
Here's what she wrote that I found online in her journal. I need to write things down so I don't forget. All I keep replaying in my mind is being face down in a random bed, just waiting for it to be over. I remember being led to a room where they are all awaiting. I don't, sorry, I'm scrolling. She doesn't know how much. She knows there was at least 3. She thinks there may have been more. No 17-year-old, no woman is going to go do that and then go file charges just to be called a slut and a whore. And forget anybody who says that they will. I'll talk to you on the street if you have a problem with it. And I'll talk. I'm not threatening you, but we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. And like I said, I just hope very darn well that this ends good for her because this is rough. This is a rough situation now. And we've already heard certain situations from other women when they didn't get their thing and it was over. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Let's just hope this ends happily for her.
Yeah.
I'll say this and I'll say this and then we got to wrap up. Is you also have to look at the another deep message here, and that is the system failing these victims. You know, they preach that we need to trust the authorities and we need to trust them, and then the second she does, you get this. And this isn't the only incident. You know, how many hate crimes have been committed? How many other atrocities have been committed? Rapes, murders, and whatnot. People do the right thing. They preach to us. Don't go out there looking for them. You come to us. Let us do our job. Okay. She handed you the reins and you failed her. And you wonder why. Police officer is becoming one of the most least respected professions in America. But that's another story for another day. Because I
will say this, and I don't do it a lot. I actually give the cops credit who handled her case. They worked with her. They believed her. They worked with her to not set the guy up, not do entrapment, but to get things on record and recordings. So
now those they were fine. They were fine.
But in most cases, and a lot of cases, sadly, no. And it sucks. My uncle was a cop.
No,
I hate the reputation police officers have these days, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and then you got the lawyers and the DAs, and then of course his enabling parents. You know, so there's a whole lot of factors
who were victims. If you think back to their speech, they were freaking victims.
Yeah.
Okay, and one more thing. Happy Pearl Harbor Day, and not Happy Pearl Harbor Day, but Remembrance of Pearl Harbor Day. Well, and Jay, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
I know you're a couple of years too young for Pearl Harbor, but you know.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, just about 1 or 2, man.
Can I add a little?
You look good for 97.
Can I add a Pearl Harbor Day that maybe you guys probably may or may not want to hear? Sure. My mom was born on December 7th, 1941. So happy birthday, Mom. Rest in peace. She's in heaven.
Heavenly birthday.
Yeah, she's in heaven right now. She would have been 81 today. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's been one of those days for me where you kind of think about it a lot, but hey, she's watched me utilize that thing that she gave me, that thing called a mouth, and it works a lot. So, happy birthday, Mom. Rest in peace in heaven. I'm sure we'll get on the Sports Exchange anyway. So, Pearl Harbor Day. I always told my mom, that, your birthday to me is a day that she always used to take in its stride. Said, better to be born on that day than to be dead on that day. So, but she had a good sense of humor about her, the way she approached the holiday. It wasn't designed to be respectful for the military. It's just my mom's way of looking at things. That's all.
Yeah, sure.
So that's all. I'm just trying to keep it real here and keep it light, knowing it's a day that deep down inside I don't look forward to every year. But you know what? If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be on this show.
Exactly.
Exactly. We do have to wrap up and get Scott over to the Sports Exchange. So thank everybody for the likes and reacts and for tuning in. And real quick around the horn, Jen, where can everybody find you?
On a litany of shows with Sideline Sports, including my show, 3 Chicks in a Pod, Chicks in Salsa, Tuesday nights at 7:30. During the season, Confidential. Wednesday nights, you can find me here. Thursday nights, Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel. And more times than not, except for this month, sorry, Scott, Inside the Pigskin with Scott. And then Fridays, I'm off. On Saturdays, I'm off. Sundays, I help produce Basket Bros with the 3 of you guys, with Jay pulling most of the production duties. I just set up the link right now. Appreciate you for that, Jay. I love my football more than my hypothetical basketball. No offense.
We didn't live it. That's why. You'd have a different attitude if you covered games and sat on the floor and watched it, but that's all right. You get off.
I said hypothetical basketball games.
I know. That's what I heard. I know.
Okay.
I caught that part.
Jacob, on to you.
Twitter at Jake the Pundit, where you can see my nice, clean Hallmark Channel level tweets. And then Sunday nights Basket Bros with everybody there and Will. Thank you for watching tonight, Will. Monday nights during the season, NBA Carousel, Megan Price. Tuesday nights during the season, Confidential, which we'll figure out the time really soon. And we're about to have next week. We're going to have, like you had said, we're going to have a free agency show for 30 minutes before Pundits Pundit. Wednesday nights is Pundits Pundit and with everybody, and then Sports Exchange I go along with Scott. Thursday nights, not tomorrow. What'd you say?
I yawned. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thursday nights, not tomorrow night. Different things going on, but most Thursday nights with TJ Sampson, the yin and yang, talking about films, talking about psychology, politics, everything along the way. And then when I'm invited on, Gauntlet on Friday nights.
All right. And Scott, on to you.
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. If you really want to see everything I got to offer, well, first of all, my Twitter is at Tribune South, so they put that up there. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. And Jennifer's co-host, Candy Ebling, does an unbelievable job working on it, right, Jennifer? She is great. And more importantly, what I'd like everybody to do is please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. I'll say it one more time. Please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. That way you can see all of our shows. We have lots of different podcasts for everybody's different tastes. So rather than give you every single show on the planet, South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, please subscribe. And I enjoy being on Basket Bros and obviously Pundits Pundit. These are great shows. I feel very comfortable in these shows because, I can relate to the magazine style that you guys have created on this show. And, of course, how do I not relate to a basketball era that I lived and have a piece of the floor of the Detroit Pistons championship here in my hallway? So, my goodness, if that doesn't validate me being on Basket Bros and Santa Claus is Jewish. And yes, I'm using the analogy tonight because tis the season to be jolly. And no, Santa Claus is Jewish, and I don't know when Hanukkah is, so don't worry about it. So, anyways,
and Jay, where can everybody find you at, my friend?
Absolutely. Confidential. That new day and time coming soon. Yes, next week, 30 minutes before the Pundits Pundit, we will have a one-off episode in the December episode on the free agency moves. Also, Pundits Pundit, that would be 30 minutes later, but that's also every Wednesday. Gauntlet Fridays and Basket Bros Sundays. So, everyone, boogie on over to South Florida Tribune and check out the Sports Exchange here in about 30 seconds. And also come back on to Sideline Sports for the Sports Arena, which is right after the Sports Exchange. So, for Jen, Scott, Jacob, I'm Denzel Snipes, and we will see you all in 7 days with a new set of topics. Peace.
Peace out.